Well, as you can tell, we are installing a transmission. And I'm not really going to do much talking. I'm just trying to get this thing in here so I can go home because it is really hot. But my transmission got back yesterday. This is my TH375 that was built by Jeff Yarborough. It's got raybestos clutches and steels in it. Everything new, full rebuild. It's got a Transgo Pro valve body reprogramming kit in it. Red stripe modulator valve. Factory high stall. They call it a factory high stall. I think it's like it's just a stock converter. It's like 1700 RPM stall speed. So I think the Turbo 400 converters they used in these had a little bit higher of a stall speed than the 350s did. But this thing ought to shift with some class. Let's see. All right, I'm putting bell housing bolts in. And then I can bolt the torque converter up. I made sure that was totally seated. But, you know, I see a lot of people when they put bell housing bolts in, they'll run these things in, you know, a couple turns and then they'll hit them with an impact. Not I. I actually try to pretty much get them completely bottomed out by hand before I run them in. Anytime you're dragging a transmission up to mate to an engine with an impact, all you're doing is just tearing stuff up. But here we are, installing a transmission. That's what all these adjustments are for, you know. It'd be nice if I could fit my fingers over here by the cooler lines. That's another thing. I'm gonna have to make hard lines for this thing front to back. But that's all part of it. But I'll tell you what, I'm ready to have this thing done. After this, I'm almost done with the front accessory drive on it. I'm gonna drop the tank and put a new fuel pump in it. It's gonna have a return style external regulator. I'm gonna regulate it down to 6 PSI for the Edelbrock carburetor because the TBI fuel pumps are only 15 PSI max, which I've never seen one to have that. They usually have between 12 and 13 PSI. So return style system's pretty good. It's pretty good about being not as susceptible to vapor lock. Well, it's in there. I've got to do some more adjustment with the motor mounts tomorrow. They have, they're slotted so you can move the motor front and back and all that. So it's not quite lining up with my transmission cross member. But then again, I did mock this up with this transmission in a 4.3, which in theory you would have thought the bell housing mounting area of that block would have been in the same spot, but that engine also had wore out motor mounts on it. So I will probably have to do some slotting and massaging with the cross member and all that, but it's in there. And as soon as I do all that, get it on the ground and wait on it, I can measure it for a drive shaft, wire it, do the fuel system, and we're going drag racing. I'll see y'all later.